you doing then?
Well, I'm planting okra in individual cups so people can buy them. Idea came through last year from some people that they wanted so many plants put in the garden, didn't want to plant a bunch to get those, so they wanted to buy plants. So I'm planting okra seeds in trays and getting them ready for people to put in the garden.
Well, while you're planting the okra seeds, we are at Shelly Road Produce
Excuse me.
out here in Decherd. Oh, beyond Decherd, actually, this is Franklin County, but so you've been running this business?
We're one block outside the city limits.
I understand that. So Carl used to work this land, and you came on after Carl got out of the business and went about his retirement. So how's Shelly Road been treating you?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, it's been treating me great. The weather and things like that hadn't always been as good. But I love it. I enjoy what I do. People call it work. I call it something that has to be done. And that's all there is to it. Work is only something that has to be done. And there's a lot of those things in the world, and this is one of them. A lot of folks don't want to do this. I enjoy it, so.
Well, you've got quite a history in farming. Why don't you start at the beginning when you were a barefoot boy? And as I understand it, you're still a barefoot boy.
Yes, sir. My wife, well, I won't go there. I was born and raised on the farm in Winchester Springs. Started milking goats when I was 6 years old, feeding chickens and pigs. When I was 8, I graduated up to milk cows. Milked cows until I was 18 years old and left home. My brother and I, he's 3 years older than me, run a 300-acre farm from the time I was 8 until he left home when I was 16. We did all the work. My dad was working outside the farm. My mom took care of the house and the garden, and we did the rest of it. And I got my experience there. I went in the service, found out I wasn't as smart as I thought I was, and I decided to go to college. And I got in college, I decided I like what I do. So I got my education in plant and soil science. And from then on, I've grown a garden all my life. I think this year's my wife and I have been married 43. It's the 43rd one that we'll have. And it's just something I've always done. We can, and we love our vegetables. I'd rather have what I grow than anything I can buy.
So, well, tell us what you've got. Right, you told us you were planting eggplant to sell the plants, but you're also growing crops here. Tell us what you've got in the ground.
Well, right now I've got 200 pounds of potatoes, 3 different varieties in that. Got 25 pounds of onion sets. We've got about 2,000 cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, lettuce, Bibb and romaine, cauliflower, kale, Swiss chard, and collard greens growing out in the garden right now, already up. I've got 1,100 tomato plants. We've got about 20 more rows of things that we got in the ground that haven't come up yet. And we're planting more today, so the way I look at it, at Shelly Road Produce, we're here, we can start you to the finish.
So, and you've got a store here on 1116 Shelly Road, I believe it is.
Yes, sir.
And so, and that store opens when?
Well, this year I'm not going to be able to open the store. My father-in-law has been running that for me, and he's not going to be able to do it this year. His health has gone down where he can't. So people will just have to catch me at the farmer's market or contact me by phone, and I can meet them here. I go to farmer's markets, excuse me. I do 5 markets in 4 days, so I'm not here a lot of the time. The best thing to do would be to call us, and I can make an appointment with them, and I'll meet them here, or they can catch me at the farmer's market, and we can get together one way or the other.
Well, let's start out with giving us the phone number that you'd like them to call.
It's 931-962-8041. And that's a cell phone. It's with me all the time. I don't tweet, and I don't do those things. I don't have time. So, but I do keep up my phone, and I'll be glad to work with people any way I can. One thing I can guarantee, they'll never get it any fresher, because we'll go out in the garden and cut it.
So, yeah, that's always been a hallmark of Shelly Road Produce and your father-in-law. You mentioned you're at farmers markets several days. I know the Franklin County Farmers Market is Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
Thursday,
yes, sir.
And that's from 7 o'clock till about noon.
Well,
I guess.
they say it's till noon. People can stay longer than that if they've got stuff. It's up to them, but in general it runs from about 7 to 12.
Okay, and then you also go to Tullahoma.
Yes, sir. We have one in Tullahoma on Wednesday over to Trinity Lutheran Church over there that's been going for 35 years now. And it's a small place. It's a limited number of vendors because the parking lot's only so big, and we keep that full every week. And we've always got just a tremendous selection, both places.
So when you talk about selection, now let's go to, you're also doing plants, I gather, for Mother's Day.
Yes, sir. I'm making mixed pots. We put several different things together in one pot. They call it mixed pots. It makes a real beautiful show. You've got greenery, you've got color, you've got blooms, and it's something that most moms enjoy. When I had a greenhouse 20 years ago, we sold thousands of them to the florists. They sell them all the time. So it's something that I enjoy doing, and it's just part of it. I grow my own plants. I don't buy stuff, and I put what I've got in it.
Well, and I saw you, is it shucking okra when you pull the
Yes,
seeds
sir.
out of it? Is that the
I guess that's
term?
what you'd call it.
So you do harvest some of your own seeds?
Yes, sir. I have several heirloom varieties that I have. I have 4. I have 2 different tomatoes that the seeds actually came from Israel that are heirloom tomatoes. They're aroma type tomato. They're bigger than aroma. They're more meaty, better tasting to me. Then I have the pink German Johnson heirloom tomato that came from Manchester, Tennessee in the 1950s. Leon Hawker Smith got those seeds from the Johnson family personally, grew them until approximately 10 years ago. I can't remember what the date was, but he gave me some and asked me to grow them because he couldn't grow them anymore. He's getting up in age and he quit growing. So he asked me to grow him some each year and gave me the starts of my seed. And I've been doing those for 10 years. Let's see, I've got heirloom peppers. I guess that's most of it right now, what I've got in my heirlooms at the moment.
So the farmers markets, is that, I don't want to ask if you can make a profit because most farmers just scoff at the idea of making a profit.
Well,
but it's a good place to sell your ware, the food that you
it's
produce.
a nice building. We've got a lot of shade. We're more concentrated than we used to be out in the parking lot out there. I think that helps some. But we've got a good bunch of people up there that bring in a lot of good things from here in Franklin County, and that's what I like.
We're seeing less and less of home canned foods at the farmers market. How do we lose that?
Well, we're not. Can't say we're completely losing it, but when we got the building, we got federal funds, and with those federal funds came the federal regulations. We are now under the FDA rules down there and under that farmer's market. Eggs have to be kept at 41 degrees or below. I've never seen that in my life, but that's one of the rules. And the canning thing costs so much money that people can't afford it. They've got to get a license, then they've got to have a commercial kitchen to do it in. It has to be inspected. They have to send a sample off to be analyzed, and that costs them. The cost has become prohibitive for us. Now that's going to be the main problem, I think.
Has anyone at the farmers market talked about establishing a U.S. Department of Agriculture approved kitchen anywhere that our local rhubarb canners and...
As far as I know of, no. What they're suggesting to us is find some restaurant's kitchen that we can use at night. We had one lady that was trying to do a commercial kitchen, and it was going to cost her over $10,000 just to do a commercial kitchen, and then it had to pass inspection after that. So,
I know of one vendor, Cynthia Kruger, has a USDA approved kitchen in her home. But she's a chef, and it kind of stands to reason that she went through that expense. But how about at the fair? I gather the farmers can't even offer their goods at the fair?
Now that I don't know. The fair I don't know anything about.
We'll talk with Barbara Finney about that.
That is different because I don't know whether they got federal money for that building or not. I don't remember that. That's what happened. When we got the federal money, we became under federal rules. And that's what's really caused a lot of difficulties for people. There's been a lot of things said about what's going to happen to people if they don't do what they're supposed to. And that, I think, it scared a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, the farmers market seems to be growing in the terms of the number of people that are showing up there, number one, to buy, and number two, there always seems to be plenty of farmers there, and they come from a far piece to get here.
Yes, sir. We've got people that come from Fayetteville or Flintville. The apple man comes from Alabama. Moore County. There's some people that come from, you know, surrounding counties, some of them. But it's all, we've got people that are really believe in what we're doing. We want people to have good, fresh vegetables, and you can't get that in a grocery store.
The climate, there's a climate out there that says, well, we don't like chemicals to be used in the garden and this and that and the other thing. Are you able to farm the old-timey way, or do you have to use chemicals to make it happen?
You have to use some chemicals, but they've got organic ones nowadays. I don't know whether they call them chemicals or not, but they're organic pesticides that you can use that are organic. I don't use many myself. In fact, in my greenhouse here this year, there's not been a chemical put on any plant.
So, and I noticed your tomatoes are in plastic. That keeps down the weeds.
Yes, sir.
And also it saves on water.
It does. The only thing is it heats up the ground too much during the summer. You want that in the springtime. But during the summer, we've got to come up with some way, and I'm looking at using newspaper to put in under the plants to keep that part of the ground from getting so hot. And other than that, it's a great thing. It really is. I can go out there even in the mud most of the time and pick, because that cloth will hold you up.
Oh, I can remember many a time mudding, as they called it.
The first year we was here, we picked from July into the last of August in an ankle-deep mud. I mean the whole summer.
Weather really runs your life, doesn't it?
Yes, sir, it does.
This is an opportune climate for just about everything, except when the rains come. Yeah.
Well, that's part of it. You wish for what you need, you take what you get, and you can't do any different.
You would call farming then a faith-based job?
If you don't have faith, you can't farm. Because if you lose this year, most people would quit. You may lose 3 years in a row before you make a profit. It all depends on the weather a lot of times, and disease.
Oh, and so, last year it was blight.
Yes, sir.
It always seems to be something that a farmer has to deal with. So how do you measure success?
By the smile on people's faces. It's not money. I do it because I like what I grow. I know how good it is, and I want other people to enjoy it. And that's my look at it. I hope to make money. First 3 years have been difficult. Weather's been a big problem in that, but like I said, it's faith-based, and I've got enough faith in that I can make it, and I'm still doing that so far.
Okay, well, I'm going to thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming out, and glad you came to Shelly Road.